Welcome to Consumers Energy's presentation on property restoration. This presentation is designed for customers who have asked Consumers Energy to work on their gas and/or electric service, whether the service is overhead or underground. Property restoration involves repairing property that may have been altered when Consumers Energy installs, repairs, or upgrades service. Our goals with this presentation are to help you understand Consumers Energy's process of property restoration. This includes defining various types of property, explaining what property restoration is and why it might be necessary, outlining who is responsible for property restoration, and providing tips for mitigating the need for restoration or helping restoration go smoothly. We will also discuss who is responsible for what types of restoration. When Consumers Energy arrives to complete the work you've requested, it is likely we will use heavy trucks and various types of heavy machinery. For example, if you are installing underground service, digging a trench is necessary to bury the gas or electric line from the origination point to your house. This is true as well for upgrading or repairing your service. Restoration is likely to be needed. Our goal is to complete the work safely and efficiently. Therefore, we often use heavy industrial equipment. A downside of using this equipment is it can cause damage to property. While this may not be one of the outcomes you anticipated, we want you to understand who is responsible for property restoration before we arrive to install or upgrade your service. The first thing to understand is, what is the property? There are three property types relevant to our discussion. Customer's property. This is the property you, the customer, owns. This includes your lawn, landscaping, and driveway, as well as any underground equipment such as water lines to an outdoor pool or electric lines to a pole barn. Neighbor's property. This is the property your neighbors own and includes all the categories listed above. Right-of-way. The ROW is a strip of land measured from the center line of the road to your property. It is typically reserved for maintaining or expanding existing electric transmission and gas pipelines. It is generally 15 feet from the center line of the road in both directions and is owned by the county. In the example shown, you are having work done on your home and heavy equipment has impacted the ROW, your neighbor's property, the roadway itself, and your property. One or all these types of property may be impacted along your journey to service installation. What then is Consumers Energy's policy on property restoration? Let's look at each type of property. Customer's property. If a customer asks Consumers Energy to conduct work, it is the customer's responsibility to restore their own property. An exception is we will repair damage to customer-owned underground facilities that are properly staked or flagged. Neighbor's property. If we inadvertently damage a neighbor's property, we will restore it. This is because your neighbor did not request that his or her service be changed in any way. Your neighbor is effectively an onlooker. Proximity may dictate whether your neighbor will be impacted. Right-of-way. Consumers Energy is required to repair any damage to the right-of-way. You might be amazed at what's beneath your property, providing service to your house and its surroundings. You are responsible for marking any of these underground facilities that you own so that we do not cause damage to them. Some examples of customer-owned facilities include septic systems and drain tiles, sprinkler systems, electric fences, including invisible dog fences and landscape lighting, services to outbuildings that perhaps have been extended from the main home, other electric systems such as power to a charging station, pool, or hot tub. This list is not exhaustive. Your property may have other facilities that require staking. There are other great reasons to stake your facilities accurately and thoroughly. Avoid installation delay. Crews may not install a service if there are obvious customer-owned facilities in the service path. Unmarked facilities will delay service installation. Avoid inconvenience. Damage to an unmarked or improperly, inaccurately marked facility can be a significant inconvenience to you. Avoid expense. If damage occurs to a customer-owned facility that was not properly staked, the financial liability falls to the owner. We understand it can be time-consuming and expensive to repair a facility. Working together, being properly informed, and sharing information go a long way toward avoiding these unpleasant situations. Let's take a closer look at customer-owned facilities that need to be staked or flagged along the service route properly. Here is a partial list of services that are customer-owned: septic, well, outdoor lighting, utilities to outbuildings, pool or hot tub, sprinkler system, charging station, electric dog fence. If these services and facilities are properly, accurately, and fully staked before Consumers Energy arrives to work on your electric or gas service, we will be far less likely to damage them when installing your new service. If we inadvertently do damage them under these circumstances, we will repair them. Aside from damage to unmarked facilities, other issues you may encounter with property restoration include: deep ruts may be common depending on the soil conditions and the time of year. This is especially true for soft or wet ground. Also, depending on soil conditions, the soil we replace in a trench or a rut may create a mound, or it may settle. Because Consumers Energy only places displaced soils back into the trench, final repairs are the customer's responsibility to return the area to a final, level grade. Grass and other vegetation may be damaged or removed. We strongly advise you to thoroughly research your proposed route, both when planning your service and as your service installation day approaches. Doing so can potentially avoid damage to landscaping, as well as sentimental trees or shrubs. Difficulty occurs when the customer changes their mind on the day of service installation and a new route is desired. These are difficult situations for both you and Consumers Energy. Facilities that have been staked properly are no longer valid for the revised route and damage can occur. So, planning your route carefully is an extremely important element of installing service and avoiding damage to your property. When Consumers Energy conducts restoration, we follow certain guidelines. Only the area affected by Consumers Energy will be restored. This includes the ROW and the neighbor's property. The area will be restored to its original condition, although it will take time for grass to regrow. If vegetation in an ROW is removed, this vegetation will not be restored because it may interfere with future maintenance efforts. Material removed will be used for replacement. For example, if clay or sand is the material removed from the trench, clay or sand will be used to restore the area. So, to summarize, here are the main points to remember about restoration. If the ground is soggy, which is often the case during the spring, damage can be much worse than if soil conditions are dry. If you are worried about the ground being muddy and the heavy equipment causing excessive damage, perhaps schedule a project towards late summer or fall. If you're concerned about regrowth, conduct work earlier to allow an entire growing season to rejuvenate your greenery. Responsibility for restoration depends on where the restoration is needed. If damage is on the neighbor's property or in the ROW, it is Consumers Energy's responsibility to restore the property. If restoration is required on the customer's property, it is customer's responsibility to repair and replace. Restoration occurs only on areas affected by Consumers Energy in the ROW and on the neighbor's property. Keep in mind that other contractors may have disrupted adjacent areas. Property will be restored back to its original condition, except vegetation in ROWs, which may interfere with maintenance. If damage occurs to customer-owned facility that are not marked properly, accurately, and fully, the financial responsibility for restoration rests with the property owner. Our hope is that this presentation has provided a basic overview of property restoration. Consumers wants your experience with a gas or electric installation to be a positive one. We know that if we work together and share expectations and information, both of us will better understand what needs to happen for a positive outcome.